What if the Mongolian Empire never existed? Wait, what? It's gone. That's literally what's gonna happen to both these country balls in just a few days. They're about to be gone forever. Obviously, an empire this big, if it never existed, it would completely change the globe. So here is the old world, or the Eastern Hemisphere, in 1463. Remember that even after officially the Mongolian Empire collapsed, they still were kind of there. They were just the 4 Khanates that ruled individually. So this is obviously a map without even that. So we have like a solid 2 or 3 centuries of completely different things happening. So we still have dynasties here in China with their protectorate of Tibet. Empire Japan's probably not going to change at all since they didn't have to worry about the Mongols. This area looks like it's just no man's land. We've got the Novgorod Republic. For sure, Russia would have a completely different history. I mean, the very DNA of Russia was built because of these Hordic wars. Sure, they're getting into other conflicts, but might not be as brutal as what they experienced with the Mongols. The Sultanate of Rum, where's the rum gone? There's still a lot of Arabic influences here. Now, technically speaking, Western Europe wouldn't be affected too much, at least on a map level. Big difference between a map level and actually with the people, with the things that they were choosing to do. Does the French lose the 100 Years' War? Is this all controlled by England, basically? We also got a Kalmar Union. Does an Ottoman Empire even form out of this? I don't think they do. Man, this is such a cool map. The Reddit Kingdom, what? Remember that the bubonic plague or Black Death would be probably less impactful in this timeline. And also just overall, a lot more places would have survived. Like a lot more of these empires, they would have never gotten wiped out because the Mongols were literally just eating everything out here. Such an interesting alternative history. I love it. The Soviet Union of the New World, or a United Hispanic America. So this is technically called the United People's Republic of Colombia. About 3/4 billion people living in it. It's also the year 2024. So I'm assuming this is like a Bolivar's empire that went communist and took over everything. Remember in 1826, there was a giant Grand Colombia with modern day Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and Panama. And their leader, Bolivar here, wanted to unite all of the South American countries into one nation. I can see why he had such high hopes because he did lead a massive revolt against the Spanish Empire. He was kind of the Napoleon Bonaparte of South America. So if I had to guess, this is a map where he succeeds and then by like the 1900s, he turns his nation communist. Well, he'd be dead. But whoever was leading at that time. So he was successful in uniting all of these Spanish-speaking parts of Latin America. Now, the Empire of Brazil, who speaks Portuguese, they're still here, just not like they used to be. It's nice that they allowed them to stay there, though. Also, if Bolivar's plan started to work immediately, they would take over Mexico, and that's a Mexico that controlled California, New Mexico, Arizona, and then they would be the ones to purchase Louisiana. Florida was a colony of Spain, so I understand why they got that, or got that back. It was kind of a no man's land between the US and Canada. This is like a Bolivar that just jacked that. I keep saying Bolivar. I don't know exactly who would have taken all this land. He would have probably got a lot in Central America, and then his predecessor would have had to do a lot of this probably. Their government is technically a confederal Marxist Bolivar Council Republic. I wonder if in this world the Soviet Union even exists. Like maybe someone went back in time and tried to stop the Soviet Union from becoming communist, but they couldn't stop the world from adopting communism, so it just happened on the other side of the globe. Didn't even realize the South here won the Civil War. They got their independence, which probably only further strengthened Colombia since the US was split. Also, they forced Canada here to release the Republic of Quebec. More than likely, they forced that to happen. I think it's safe to say they have the Falklands in this universe. Can you imagine the infrastructure they must have to keep this whole big thing together? I feel like they're doomed to have a civil war at some point. A simplified map of the McKinney disaster, or if everyone in McKinney, Texas was dead.
Everyone in McKinney is dead. The heat index right now in McKinney is 10,000.
It's actually 101,105 degrees in McKinney. So this is the heat index of McKinney at the epicenter of the blast. So did it randomly for just one moment get to this degree, this temperature? Oh yeah, and just for my Europeans out there, because we're talking Fahrenheit, 56,000 degrees Celsius. I'm sure that helps frame it for you how hot we're talking, if you didn't already know. So Dallas has been coated over in a meter of ash. I'm assuming that same thing happened to Fort Worth. My family in Tyler, Texas definitely is not surviving this. The Interstate Highway 20, 30, 35, and 45 are closed as their bridges are collapsed under the rate of ash. Oh, this is still 4 feet of ash. I'm pretty sure everyone in this circle's pretty much dead too, right? In the winter of 23-24, Oklahoma City will drop to a minus 18 degrees. Oh, so we're in a nuclear winter because of McKinney. That's great. Over an inch of ash all the way out here in Amarillo. I think Odessa survives, which is a miracle. Ash falls reported all the way from Colorado. Yeah, it's definitely safe to say everyone in McKinney is dead. The most high quality map I've literally ever seen. The Roman Empire in 2007. Specifically, if they survived and made their own website this year. Ah yes, Roman news. So they somehow beat back the barbarians and existed for another like 2,000 years. This would mean we'd have to have a lot of different web pages to separate the empire if you wanted to get specific news from specific areas. Ooh, Rome in Mesopotamia this time of year sounds nice. So we have a new emperor that was just crowned. I like how the whole web page is in English when it should be in Latin. Let's just pretend like it is in in Latin for the sake of illusion. Oh, here's an article that I would like. Maps that explain the world. Clearly, China's in chaos. Oh, they were communist over here. Also, a much more giant Iran is in a civil war. I would like to add, this is an Iran that we probably can't even begin to imagine what they'd be like. This is nothing like modern-day Iran. Wait, what? Mayor of Constantinople pledges support for the Greens. Please tell me there are still gladiator battles in 2007? Classic. Rise in popularity of the Hellenic name for the country, Romania. What's that? Best bread shop. Oh, did Pompeii not explode, or did it still explode and they just fixed it? Greek East and Latin West compared. Oh, so the language thing is, yeah, thousands of Iranians migrating. I don't know how they'd keep this up for so long. Let's just suspend our disbelief. I'm gonna repost this on my MySpace page. I guess this could still be real in our hearts. Our seas must be free. Join the fight against North Macedonia. This is a wartime propaganda map against Northern Macedonia aggression. Dang, those North Macedons striking again. They might not look like much now, but they were. Maybe they still have plans to do something like this. This is made even better because they are currently a landlocked nation. So judging by the tentacles here, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say on video, the North Macedonians control pretty much all the Balkans, including Constantinople perhaps, the Italian peninsula, at least the southern part, Sicily, all of Greece and the island of Crete, and definitely parts of Africa, I think. Now they definitely have a long way to go to get back to their old Empire of Alexander days, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely a start. Now, obviously this is referencing the real-life propaganda poster of Imperial Japan in World War II, but this is really funny seeing the resemblance of the Imperial Japanese flag and the modern-day North Macedon flag. Xing's Decade of Glory. Under his leadership, China has doubled in size. He first started out by taking North Korea in 2023, then what is called New Manchuria, which is actually modern-day Russia. I mean, nobody lives there anyways. I don't think Russia would mind. Of course, he eventually got this island with it. In 2025, he annexed Nepal, and then he extended his region in Central Asia here. In 2027, he annexes Mongolia, takes the northern part of Vietnam, and caps it all off by taking Taiwan in 2029. I like how this map isn't completely unrealistic. I mean, it's obviously fairly unrealistic, but you know, you didn't just give all of Asia to China. I mean, he only has a decade to be able to do this, so you know, I actually feel like some of these things are actually possible. Straight up annexing North Korea, I feel like we could wake up tomorrow and that could happen. Maybe Mongolia too, but first, like, Russia would have to collapse. Russia collapses, then obviously they can annex Mongolia. I think Mongolia is just kind of a buffer state between the two. I don't really know why he would take Nepal across the other side of the Himalayas. It'd have to be maybe a war for this part of Vietnam. Really not insane things. Maybe this is part of his plan. Oh, has the new national animal become the polar bear? Because they have territory pretty high up in the Arctic now. Awesome map. There's lots to speculate about this one. A new world after World War III, or the last century of the world. And the year is 2040. Oh wow, look, China from the last map looks about the same. They do have South Korea, Japan, all of Vietnam, the Philippines, all of Indonesia, all, okay, they look a little bit different. Yeah, a little bit bigger. Okay, so what the hell happened here? Because the US doesn't exist. France is huge. The US has been pretty messed up, actually. Oh, I think we got nuked into oblivion. Is this Dixieland? Is this the South? Yeah, the Southern Union. Louisiana's come back. Mexico's got its stuff back. Chinese controlled California and Oregon and, oh, they got all the Pacific. They took Alaska, too. Is this the Chinese word for Alaska? Nice big Quebec, though. So this must be like a France that allied to China because they took over all of Europe. The United Kingdom no longer exists. I think that's a French-controlled Cornwall, too, and as well as Dover. Napoleon has clearly been revived. Russia exists, but they've been pretty messed up. So which side did Russia choose in this world? France has all their imperial colonies back, and the entire continent of Africa has been pretty much split up between China and France. I wonder if France is kind of like a puppet state. Like, did China buy them from the inside? I'm just surprised how Russia fell apart. Russia entered a civil war during the Ukrainian war. Okay, that explains it. That's why China has occupied Siberia. The United States and India are both divided. I didn't even notice that. Oh, so the Chinese and French are not allied. This is just the French taking advantage of being pretty much the only power left. I like how they gave France old Germany borders back, interestingly enough. So we now have a second Cold War to go along with this extra World War, and obviously that's between the French and now Chinese. So it's still like a, well, this is the French Empire, so I don't know if they're technically a democracy. While the Medina Pact is on the first world side. Oh, Mexico is communist. Oh, because China gave that stuff to, yeah, so Mexico's like a puppet to the Chinese Empire. Australia did fall. The Persians are on the second world side. So clearly this is automatically telling me that the French made this map because they're putting their enemies as the second world, I'm guessing. Meanwhile, the third world is just Bangladesh, Pakistan, because India's not really here anymore. The US, who's not very strong anymore, Brazil. So these are probably all neutral powers. Maybe there's another non-aligned movement here. Technically, the strongest power is China, who updated their flag. 3.5 billion population. Meanwhile, France has 1.9 billion. Where the hell is France getting 1.9 billion from? What? Oh, I guess it's all of Europe. I'm now seeing the border. Okay, it's all of Europe and Africa, specifically Nigeria. Okay, I guess that equates. Also, year 2040, so population growth. Temperature of the world's really increasing too, so it's not really a Cold War. It might be hot. The US still has large GDP, and that's really just coming from like the Midwestern states. Love how still South America has not really changed much at all. Panama is controlled by China though. We always talk about a World War II Part 2. I've been waiting for a Cold War Part 2 forever though. Settling the score, or if India and Pakistan got into a nuclear war. Okay, this one is obviously actually terrifying, especially because there's just so many people that live in this area. So by January 2024 is when the most casualties happened at 90 million, and then they continued to ring out. It's kind of eerie. Is this because of nukes, or also the radiation, the fallout? Are the winds taking that to China? So there's gonna be even more than that. Yeah, it's definitely going to China a little bit. China would be so angry about this. Obviously, the major cities got hit: 2.1 million, 19 million. This is where it'd be really bad. This is where most of India's population sits, and they just like tore it up. Poor Bangladesh. Bangladesh is gonna get also caught in the crossfire, and that's like 160 million people that live there, maybe 40. Sri Lanka as well. First of all, I don't even know if Pakistan has this many nukes. I think India has enough to maybe. I don't want to sit here and count the dots, but I guess they might both have the same. Wow, they really tore up this area for sure. That's scary because, you know, their rage against each other is just so strong. I don't know if outside powers would be able to stop it. Nukes launched 937. Obviously, India would take the vast majority of casualties. Oh, other 200 million. I was gonna say there'd be a lot of other. They even got these islands too. What's the point of that? Now, you know, that's not even strategic. They just went dirty. The uncontacted people on North Centennial Island wondering why there's a giant ball of fire on the horizon. That would certainly be extremely confusing for them. What if India was never connected? I absolutely love this scenario. I don't know why more people don't do it. In fact, I did this same exact situation on my gaming channel not that long ago. So the Indian plate smashed into the Eurasian one millions of years ago. Well, actually only 10 million years ago it was first coming into contact. But more recently, they've just been causing the Himalayan mountains by continuing to smash and bring the Earth up. But I've always just wondered, what if this landmass was a little late? What if humans began society before it smashed into Asia? So yes, there would be no Himalayan mountains or no Mount Everest. I honestly feel like an Indian Roman Empire, or whatever you want to call it, would rise up out of here. And there's a reason why so many ancient civilizations rose out of Europe. And it's mainly trade with the Mediterranean Sea and just, you know, getting navies up. You do that a lot faster. Although I'd have to imagine these waters would not be as calm as the Mediterranean. Like this massive stretch, I don't even know what that would be like. These would be like a huge river flowing through. I don't know. So maybe there would still be like a problem having a mercantile empire form in this region. Certainly there would no longer exist a giant wall between India and China though. I mean, the Himalayan mountains kind of acted as a wall separating those two cultures and histories and faiths. There'd definitely be a lot more interaction. And yeah, pretty much everyone would no longer be forced into isolation. They'd be forced out of it, in fact. And we're only scratching the surface. Like, we haven't even talked about like plants and animals, weather, climate's changing. Really cool scenario, I think. Post-apocalyptic North America, let's go! Love these situations. So it's the future, and society has collapsed in this continent. This reminded me of Fallout. The Republic of Texas, League of Mississippi, the Confederate Republic. Of course, the Dixie's still going. I wonder if we fall back into like medieval times as well. Do we have kings and queens again? Probably. We got big old Cascadia up here, the Holy Republic of Deseret area, whatever, but I don't know. The Anglo people of what? Okay, Canada. I don't know why that name was necessary. United States of Columbia, because Washington, D.C. I'm imagining like people from Nebraska as just like nomadic. They're pretty much like Mongolian at this point. There's literally a Nono-German regime. Oh, that's in like Montana and Idaho. At least the world hasn't collapsed enough where they don't make their own flags. Union of Alaska. The collapse happened because of economic recession, also climate change and infrastructure collapse. I like how Mexico's included too. It's like a lot of rough terrain, deserty area, so there would be a separation for sure. But we also have the Caribbean. Watch them. They might be real strong. I love how a new language has been created, for some reason, Louisiana French with Mississippi right here. Republic of New Africa. Michigander English is their official language. That's cute. I like that accent. Oh, and this is like a dictatorship. Oh man, I like the addition to this Canada flag. I'm just thinking of like a Mad Max world. It sounds so fun. Well, like, probably isn't that fun, Drew, but it's apparently a place here called Hitlerberg. That's nice. And thank you to the patrons. You can go to the link in the description down below to patreon.com to support me. JohnDenver, Jack Traven's annoying friend. I can't sleep without Drew's voice. InquisitorXarius, Henrik Hedlund, Fredrik Tibblin, Drew, it's your dad back with the DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood, Carmel Saida, amateur archaeology, sebby, if you hear this, I love you, LuxembourgLover, Tambre, and ZaneyBoi.